Hey guys, John here. Today I'm going to show you how to make this string type of patch with a lot of reverb and a little bit of delay. And the only sound I really thought would be cool with this would be the Halo song. So this is what it sounds like. All right, so let's get into it. So the first things first, let's take off our effects here, which I have a reverb, a lot of reverb, some delay, and then let's go to the channel strip here, and I have a little bit of a soft clipper, so we'll turn that off as well. There's also some compression going on here, but we'll leave that on just to protect our ears a little bit. So first things first, let's turn a couple of these off here. So the first oscillator I have going on is going to be the Sine 2. Now with this one here, it's kind of interesting because it's going to be FM'd 100% by oscillator number 2, which is the organ wave shape right here, down 1 octave. So let's take a listen to see how that sounds as well. So before we do that though, let's remember 100 on 2 and then 45 on 3. So let's reset these here. And this is what operator 2 is doing to operator 1. So with just that second operator FMing the first one at 100, it really brings out that kind of texture to it. Now I'm going operator 3 FMing operator number 2. So this is what this is going to sound like, and it's 45. So let's keep that in mind. So operator 3 is FMing operator number 2, and then operator number 2 is FMing operator number 1. So there's a lot of FM going on in this patch. So far with this sound, it's really just the mid-range, a little bit of highs going on. And this is where operator number 4 comes in with the Sine 3 down 1 octave. And this is what that one sounds like just by itself here. So it's kind of just holding the low end together. And as you can see down here in the mix, the first operator is 100% in the mix, and then the fourth one's 90%. So it's a little bit less, not to overtake the first one, but just to kind of fill up that bottom end there. So with all of these together, it sounds like this. Now this wouldn't sound nearly as cool if there wasn't any unison on it. So we have 8 voices of unison. The unison detunes 18%, and I think 20% is standard, so it's just a little bit less detuned. The unison panning is at 45, which I felt it needed to be a little bit more focused, but you can go full, so this is what that would sound like. Definitely a cool sound, but a little too much. I kind of liked how it was 45, so it's kind of right in the front of your face right there. And with no voices, it would sound like this. So definitely the unison voices help quite a bit. So next we're going to be moving to the filter, and this is going to be a low pass, and the envelope LFO is 16%, so let's listen to that. So that's the effect that's happening, not nearly as much, but that's actually what's kind of making this patch move a little bit. So let's bring that back down to 16% here. The envelope amount is at 0, so right up and down, so 12 o'clock, so not really anything going on there. The cutoff is 69%, and then the key tracking is 23. The cutoff, you really have to be pretty close with this one, because if you have too much of the highs in there, it's really going to ruin it. So it would sound like this. And that's just a lot of that noise up there with the FM's kind of doing, so let's bring that back down to 69. Now the attack for this one is actually pretty long at 4.5 seconds, so it's going to take a long time, or 4.5 seconds exactly, to really have the full impact of the sound, which none of the notes really get there, but it's kind of that nice just ascending in volume type. Next, the decay and the sustain are going to be really the same, and then the release is going to be 3.1. So good tail. Really, the reverb is going to carry most of that tail rather than the release. Now for the EQ, on the 62 band, I dropped it down by 5.4. The 125, it didn't do anything. And then 250, dropped it down 1.3. And then really I'm just kind of cutting the low ends here. And I boosted like 2000 by just a little bit and 1000 by like 0.6 and then 1.1 just to get a little bit of that edge in there as well. And then the 4000, 1.8, and I didn't touch the 6000. Now let's get into the delay. So the delay is really here to kind of fill up the space just a little bit. It's not really going to be delaying so much like as an effect, more so as a glue. So if we hit a note, it's a little bit of delay, but once everything's kind of going, it kind of just has that glue to it. So for the settings, we have time at 50%, sync 1/4, the feedback 60%, the rate is at 24%, the depth 20%, blur 34%, and then the mix is going to be 34%, so kind of dialed down quite a bit. Next, where the magic really happens is going to be in the reverb. So take a listen to this. Now, generally with the halo type of sound, there's a lot of reverb. It's soaked in it, so you can drive up this mix quite a bit, but you will lose a little bit of the focusedness of the sound, if that's even a word. But yeah, you're going to lose a little bit to that, so kind of definitely to taste. So I'll show you what I mean. So that is a lot of reverb. So let's go back down to about like 50 or so percent. Sounds a lot better. So for the settings, I have decay 70%, the dampening 10%, high cut 78%, and then the mix, like we said, you can kind of play with that to taste. So one of the most interesting things with this patch as well is if you notice these numbers here changing while a song goes on. So what's happening in there, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of volume automation as the notes started to get to the end of their notes. So you kind of almost have that vibrato type of sound, which I did a little bit of LFO2 down here in the master pitch at 20. So if we look at the automation right here, this is what's happening. So this is the LFO2 oscillator 1. So this is this number digit right here, This is this setting right here that's getting automated over time. So it looks like this. So as the notes progress and they come to an end, I kind of lifted up just a little bit to kind of give a little bit of that realism to it. So it's just a small little detail, but it kind of makes it bring it to life just a little bit. And I didn't do that for every single note because it just didn't seem like it needed it. More so on the longer sustained notes is where I did. It's like these two, I didn't touch anything, but then this longer one I did, and then the last one I did as well, and this one too. So that kind of brings out the realism a little bit to it. And I also did the master as well on LFO2 at 20. So this one's very, very subtle. So if I drag it up, it'd ruin the patch. Yeah, so not too nice. So 20 was a good middle ground for that. And really the final, oh, actually I forgot to do this one, the drive knob. I did a tiny bit at 5% because I felt like the drive in this synth is pretty cool, but a very, very small increments. Too much, just I feel like it ruins it. So we have a soft clipper here, so let's turn this back on, and this is the soft clipper right here. And that's pretty much how I came up with this patch. The soft clipper is really here to kind of just give a little bit of saturation, nothing too dramatic. It's one of those things that you could lose it or you could have it just a little tiny little thing. But yeah, so thank you for watching. Press like if you actually liked the patch or the video. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next one.